It's showtime.
We are live. We are live. Hi, everybody. This is a Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon. I am Bill Adams, a bearded curmudgeon. That is Mr. Dewey Conway, who is also a bearded curmudgeon. And we are with Alex Scheuermann, who is a fantasy author. And we'll let him speak about his book a little bit later today or later in this chat. But he is also a member of the illustrious Secret Scribe group, which, oh God, Dave is already here and has a question. Get out of here, Dave. Didn't even finish the introduction and he's here. No questions for you. So let's start off. That's a perfect start because Dewey, start us off with our fan favorite Schmudgeon scale.
We were supposed to have that, right? Okay, here we go. Yeah. We gotta now, Alex. The curmudgeon scale is a staple of this show in that we want to rate how our day has been. This is just today. How would you rate your curmudgeon today? This is something that you must hold dear and be an honorary curmudgeon
scale when I saw it on one of your previous videos, but unfortunately, today I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm going to put myself at a 5.
All right.
The sale this weekend went pretty well for me, and my side projects are going well. So unfortunately, I'm a little on the low side today.
All right. Well, I'll put you there. Yeah. So you're with the I'd agree with you, but then we'd both be wrong curmudgeon
Absolutely.
Scale. Okay. And Bill, how about you? How are you feeling today with your curmudgeonliness?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Really?
Then Dave showed up and ruined my intro. So I'm going to go with 9 or 10. And because of Dave Lawson right there. So you're welcome, Dave.
So you're closer to the I'm sorry, did I roll my eyes out loud kind of curmudgeonly? Yes. Okay. All right. That's good. Yeah. Today's just been a normal day. So I'm going to put myself like there. I'll join you. I mean, I don't usually get below a 7. So I'll do an 8. That's good. Yeah. People aren't making me too mad today. But it doesn't help that I've been stayed inside all day. So that might be it. All righty. Yeah. So you know what? You're Alex, you seem to be the least curmudgeonly of us all, but you are still an honorary curmudgeon.
That's okay. I'm very curmudgeonly in the chat sometimes. So.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Mike knows what's up. No Willow Wraith Press collaborators ever below a 5. I don't know. Tim might be because Tim didn't even know what curmudgeon meant. So he's not here. So we had to explain it to him. But
I could pull up what he was, but yeah, because I do keep them all, just to kind of keep a history. But let's just move forward. Let's see. Oh yeah, no, he ranked himself a 6.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, check it out.
Never mind then. I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he might have been having a day.
Anyone says 4 or lower, you gotta end the stream.
Yeah.
We just delete their coin. Oh, their little avatar. Just delete. You're not even here. We don't.
So okay, Alex, give us a little bit about you. Tell us about your book, our books, and then we're going to dive right into some fun questions using our wheel. So,
all right,
give us that spiel.
So, my name is Alex. I published the Odyllic Stone back in April. It is my debut fantasy novel. It is kind of more on the young adult side. Epic fantasy. It's adventure. It's very fast paced, as people who've read it will say. And my day job, I'm an electrical engineer. I work on designing semiconductors for electric vehicle battery packs. And I'm actually the safety expert for that. It pays well, which is great, but it's a lot of work.
I mean, can't go wrong with that. Now, see, the funny thing is, Dewey, is you see all those like trays in the background of his side there.
Like,
yeah.
I was watching him on one of the chats. I was like, "Oh, is that a bunch of like electrical parts and stuff like that you're playing with?" And then I got corrected. What are they, Alex?
They are Magic the Gathering cards. This is my extensive Magic collection back here.
Oh my
there's more
God.
off screen that you can't quite see. Yeah, I have too many.
Oh my gosh. My brain was going to like maybe it's like Lego trays or something you could, but it's all Magic the Gathering, huh?
Yep.
So do you play in like tournaments and stuff, or do you just?
Yeah, my one of my friends who lives here has been to the Pro Tour a couple times, and I'm not quite that good, but sometimes he'll drag me out to tournaments.
So you're more of a collector then?
Yeah, a bit of both. I try not to get too competitive.
To have a collection that size, you've been doing it a while. Then, like, did it start in high school? Tell us about
college? So it's been like 15 years.
Wow. Yeah, Magic the Gathering's been around since what, mid 90s, like late 90s.
It's been a long time.
So.
It's one of the best things about Magic is they have artists do the illustrations for each of the cards, and so there are actually beautiful artworks on these cards. And I follow a couple of the artists on Twitter too, just because they post their other artworks and stuff.
Yeah, they're absolutely beautiful. They have been for a very long time. I'm wondering, do you do any other kind of card collections, competitions? Like, what do you? Is it just Magic? Totally Magic the Gathering, or do you?
I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! That was in high school. I played Pokemon cards back when that first came out.
Awesome.
I play poker. I'm not good, but I'll play it.
Did you have the Yu-Gi-Oh, like the board that you put on your arm? Do you remember that? Like,
absolutely, the dual disc.
Yeah.
There's an Olympic athlete that had the dual disc when he was running the Olympics.
Oh,
so
my gosh.
I'm shocked how mainstream that is. When I was younger, you couldn't even find that stuff in stores. You had to like special order it from Japan or something.
Oh, man, that's cool. That's cool. Oh, that's very impressive.
How many cards do you think you have?
Millions.
Oh, okay.
Too many.
Okay, so I guess this might be an intruding personal question, but what was your wife's reaction, like, when you first met her and told her you were a big into the Magic cards?
Actually, on like one of our very first dates, we played Pokemon together. So.
Cool. We'll see. Now that romance right there. No wonder you got married to her, right?
I couldn't say no. That was it.
Yeah, she gets it. That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, are you ready for a question?
How heavy they are, though. They're like books. Moving with the pain.
I bet it can. And you have to, do you grade them? Like have them graded, or are they just, do you keep them protected?
No, I don't have any of that. Some of the older ones you do. None of the newer stuff you really need to do that for.
Cool. Well, with that said, it's time to ask you a funny one of these questions. I don't even know. Bill sent these, and I just copy pasted them in.
Yeah, I made some special questions here.
Good.
Yeah.
But I will say there is one movie question.
Oh, we're gonna get
before I asked you about or when you told me you don't watch too many movies.
No, I don't watch a lot of movies.
So you probably have not seen the one that I'm going to ask you about. But go ahead.
Well, so the spinner, just to tell you how this works, and I know you've seen some of our previous ones, but just what we do is we spin. If it lands on a number, we go to that number. But if it lands on the cockatrice here, that means you get to pick one to ask one of us. And so then we'll have to answer. And hopefully we don't have to answer a question that's designed specifically for you.
All right.
So we'll go from there. So let me spin and oh, we're on number 5.
Battle Axe.
Boom. Okay, so number 5. There we go. Which secret scribe would be the first to die in a zombie apocalypse, and who would survive the longest?
Man, that's a tough one. I think Lamia will survive the longest. She doctor would hole up somewhere, have all the medical supplies you need if anyone gets injured. Yeah. Who would die first? I'm gonna go with Greg, and I'm not gonna explain why.
Wait, is Greg there somewhere?
Yeah, Greg's in here.
There he is. Okay. Well, you heard that, Greg. Throwing down the gauntlet. You're going to go first. I'm sorry, friends.
I mean, when I was thinking of who would survive the longest, I was thinking Rob, just because he has a billion swords and he's built like a tank. He's muscular and he rides
but he's
cycle all over the place.
Know how to use them multiple occasions.
I mean, well, yeah.
He is built like
a doctor would be perfect, though. Oh, see, Greg's trying to. Greg's not impressed.
Oh.
Can I change my answer?
There's nothing like a Texas bunker. I mean, you know that. Yeah.
Would Mike survive? No, sorry.
Like the betrayal.
Yeah. Well, I have to ask you. It's pronounced Odyllic Stone, right? And
you can pronounce it Odyllic, or you can pronounce it Odyllic, and both are correct. And both have really fun connotations with their derivative words, because the two words I kind of combined together are odd and idyllic.
Okay.
And so yeah, I either pronunciation is correct.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying in my head anyway, Odyllic, and I didn't know it was odd. I was going with ode, like a poem.
I was thinking of like the Odyssey.
Yeah, Odyssey is one of those connotations that I'm trying for, because it's kind of like a epic adventure trying to get back home.
And you see this beautiful cover, and I love the cockatrice being front and center. Can you tell us a little bit about the story? Just kind of what's going on?
Sure. Well, the cover is from the very first chapter of the book. Aster is the main character, and he's with his friend Zinnia, and they are going to deliver a letter, because Aster is the son of a postmaster, to the mines of Pelware. And there's something going on there. And they come out of the mines, and people are turned to stone. And they find out that it was the cockatrice that had been turning people to stone. So that it doesn't really set off the journey, but it is one of the causes that Aster leaves his village for the first time ever and tries to find a doctor.
The world, is it?
And a lot happens.
And a lot happens.
Just a few
the world itself, though, is built. Is it like is it Earth? Is it you mentioned postmaster?
No,
so
it's like a parallel world type thing. It's I created it myself.
Cool.
It's Earth-like, but I modeled it a lot after America, actually, and so it's kind of an American fantasy story, but not set on Earth.
Very cool. Very cool. One of your characters' name is Zinnia Hollyhock.
Yes.
I am in love with that name.
Thank you.
I love that. Hollyhocks are one of my they're beautiful flowers, and so just to have that, is that where you got it? You got it from the flower, or?
Yeah, so one of the things I did with naming is a lot of the characters from Buckwheat Village, which is the town that everyone's from, is named after flowers and trees and plants.
Oh, cool.
And so, I look to a lot of flower names, and there are some other places that they go. So, for example, I have a city called Strongfair, where a lot of the names are based on rocks and minerals. So that's kind of how I themed some of my names. And I had to dig pretty far to find names that sounded realistic but still fit my themes. So, for example, I have a character named Chert, So that's a rock, but it kind of sounds like it would be a character name. I have another character named Beryl, which is another rock name. I have a character named Rowan, which is a tree name.
Right.
So it's just kind of how I chose my names and kind of categorize the different places that the characters go. It's a fun little thing. I did a couple fun little things with the language and the naming that I hope people will catch, but it kind of requires a deep read to to catch those things.
And you said it's more on the. Go ahead, Bill. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's kind of like I'm gonna have to reread this book again because so much happens, and I'm not like I don't want this to be like sound negative at all. And Dave's gonna call me out on this that it's negative, but there's so much happens that you have to like you just keep going to the next like bit. Like he gets on a sailing ship, he learns how to knife fight, he goes to petition for like some politicians, he goes and meets his mother, there's like all this stuff. So like I missed a lot, like what the title means. I didn't see that coming, but once it happened, I was like, damn it, I should have picked that up like a long time ago, but I didn't because I'm just reading about all this awesome stuff that Aster and crew are going through.
Yeah, and part of that is intentional. One of my strategies for writing this was I'm a liar as an author. I do very much the magician's trick of, oh, look at my pretty assistant over here while crazy stuff happens on the other side. So the way I set up the story is it seems like a very straightforward adventure type journey, but it's not. It's a puzzle, and you can figure out the puzzle. And there's a riddle in there, and then there's some actual like things you can solve for the world, for the characters, for the meanings behind things. So I really tried to put it as interactive as possible. This book, and I think I did an okay job. I mean, I like the twists, and I like the hints. And the fact that, Bill can read it and say, oh, I could have figured that out. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah, like, because so there is a cool little bit, Dewey, for the people that haven't read this yet. As Alex said, the main character is a postmaster. So the chapters are broken up. Like after the chapter, which some of them are quite long, there are letters. And it's written like a letter, it has like the head and dear whoever to a character, and there's like a lot of information in this small little letter, and a lot of it is, or some of them are like recaps, I guess you can almost say, and other ones are knowledgeable world tidbits. And after I talked to Alex after I finished, he was like, yeah, you need to read these last couple ones because it'll tell you stuff. And I'm like, I went back and read them. I'm like, oh, you bastards. I should have caught this. Like, I should have caught this, but I didn't. And that means he did a great job.
Yeah, that's the best kind of writing. Yes. I love that. I'm a liar. I'm a liar. Well, aren't we all writers? I guess we lie a little bit, but that's a good one. Okay, before I start asking you some more questions, because I want to know more about this and your journey as an author, and all of that, it's time for another question. We got several to ask, so I'm going to pull this up here and let's spin it. Let's see what's going on. What question does Bill have for you? Oh, it almost. It was okay. Number one.
The filigree chalice.
Let's see. Did you play sports as a kid? And if so, did your last name have to be curved to fit on the shirt?
My name is very long, and so like when I fill out forms or sometimes when they have boxes, my name just sometimes falls off the form. I can't even like fill out forms completely. I played a lot of sports. I was in karate. I did soccer. I did little t-ball. I did. I don't think I ever had too many letters to fill a shirt. I think they could always fit it on a shirt.
Yeah.
Like other things like government forms, it never fits.
Well, because his name is also Alexander, so like Alexander Scheuermann is quite a long.
It never fits on anything. It's a constant struggle.
We need to ask about the Terminator questions. I don't know if there's any on there. Tim was mad that we got.
I took them off because last time I left them on, and people were like, "Oh, you asked that last time. Don't need to ask that question." So I guess I'll have to bring it back for next time. But are you a fan of the Terminator movies or any kind of sci-fi like that?
I have a confession to make. I do not watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
The only Terminator content I have seen are the Sarah Connor Chronicles. That is the only Terminator I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
That was a good show.
Good. I like that until it got canceled, but that was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a good.
You can't do too it's a great concept, and I love the show, but I don't think you can go too long with it because it kind of loses its appeal at that point. Like how many?
Yeah, I don't think it had a lot more in it, but I think they stopped in a weird spot.
Yeah, I think they had like 2 seasons or 3 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was 2.
2.
It was 2 seasons, and they had Shirley Manson as one of the bad guys. You know, the singer from Garbage.
Yeah, that was great. That was perfect.
And I always loved her. I love Garbage. Well, the band anyway. And
are you sure, Dewey?
And but her acting left something to be desired. But whatever, it was still. I thought it was good. I liked it. And anyway, so yeah, so then I'm glad I took the movie questions off because
Well, there is, like I said, there is one in there, but it's pertinent. Now I'm gonna probably have to explain it since he doesn't see movies. But,
maybe.
Well, and so I want to ask you about the Odyllic Stone. And I apologize. When did you publish this? What how long has it been out?
April.
Oh, wow. So it's like brand spanking new.
Pretty new. It's pretty new. It was like I published it, and then 3 weeks later I joined the Secret Scribes. So perfect timing to not have as much support to market it as I needed. But.
No, I remember Alex specifically because he was always posting. So there's this one author, Erica McCorkle is her name or their name, and they do this monthly world building thing. So like every day you talk about something in your world, and Alex was doing these in March, I think it was, and I just remember seeing because his Twitter handle is, the title of the book. So I remember seeing that, and then he has his cover, and I'm like, this cover's awesome because obviously cockatrices, can't go wrong with that. And he's just blowing all these awesome world building bits out there, and I'm just like, okay, I like this guy. I can't wait to read this book. And then it came out, and right then the Scribe started, and he was in there. I was like, yes. Can't wait to that was the first Scribes book I read after we started it. So I was ready to get that one right away.
Awesome. I really love those world building prompts. It's a good way to both think about ideas for your book and also like if you've made something really cool to talk about it in kind of a more organic way. And so I really like those. I've been doing it for like 6 months now, which is crazy.
They've been going on for a while, and the fact that like each month is different. So like 1 week will be all about plants and fauna in your world. 1 week will be about politics. 1 week will be about religion. One will be about weapons, magical weapons, or something like that. So it's awesome. And some of the stuff that you see on those are pretty great. Like it's all that stuff that we create as authors that we don't really put in our book all that much. Like it's the stuff that we like to do. So
Dave wants us to tell him that we appreciate him for starting this.
Dave wants
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to tell Dave that whenever he comes on that we will put the Terminator questions back. I promise. I'll make up a few new ones. But April, wow. So you just published it. It just came out. But before that, how long have you been writing this book? Like Can you give me Can you give us?
Yeah, about 5 years. So I've never written a thing before in my life. I am an engineer, so I went to engineering school, and we have one writing related course, and that's like technical manuals. But I just wanted to see if I could write a story, and fantasy was what I liked. So yeah, I wrote it. It took me a while. I had to learn everything about writing and storytelling and prose and characters, and so I crash coursed myself on all of these things, and then I had to learn editing, which was way harder than all the things before it. And I drew my own map. That's my drawing. I made those seals in the book. That's all my artwork. The only thing I couldn't do was the cover, because I'm not an artist. So I got someone who did that awesome artwork for me. And yeah, so all in all, it took me about 5 years to put this together. And this is my first try.
How would you compare? I mean, I know most of us would say, our first draft versus the end product are wildly different, but would you say, how would you compare your final versus, like, say, your second or third draft, or like where you started? Like, is this a wildly different story? Is it the same story that you intended?
It's not like Bill. My story is pretty similar. I think where I struggled the most was making sure I added enough detail, enough connecting fabric, and I still didn't do as good of a job as I could have, kind of drawing scenes out a little bit. Like, the story beats and the character beats are pretty much the same, and it's just kind of expanding on everything. Oh, that's my wife.
Oh, is that Kirby in the background? By the stairs?
Oh, yeah, that's Kirby. He's making a guest appearance.
Oh, I see him. Oh,
yeah, I saw him like play with is there like a table next to that chair or something? He was kind of going like this.
Here.
Oh, there he goes. Well, let's see Kirby.
This is Kirby.
Oh, look
He
at
threw up on
Kirby.
some of your books, so if you get any books with cat barf on them, this is who did it.
It's got some extra special spice. Gonna get some cat puke. All right. I love that you worked on this for 5 years. I mean, that's a really good marinating time. Did you do any kind of, like, you mentioned, like, developing your process and your writing skill? Did you, like, go to classes? Did you go to writing cons? Did you do any of that stuff? Or
no. So one thing I learned in engineering school is how to teach yourself something. So I didn't feel the need to like go to any formal classes or anything. Essentially, I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I did a bunch of research just on the internet of story structure, character development, that kind of stuff. And I kind of just taught myself based on everyone's content online.
So were you always a big reader growing
up? Yeah. I mean, you saw some of the books on my shelf when I put the God's Blood tragedy up. I read Tolkien back when I was in middle school, and I like Sanderson. I like Joe Abercrombie right now. I read some Tamsin Muir recently. So, like, I've always liked fantasy, and I've been a pretty big reader.
Wow. So to piggyback on what Dewey said, like, what was the choice to make Aster? Like, where did that being a postmaster, and that was like your running theme? Where did that stem from?
Well, it came from the structure of the story, actually, because I wanted the story, every chapter, to end in a letter. And so having him be the postmaster made sense because, first of all, he knew how to write. And second of all, he would have a reason to be sending these letters back and forth because that's kind of what he knows and what he does. And it kind of ties in thematically with his character. Now, there's some downsides to the structure that I stuck with so rigidly, and that's the chapter sizes are too long. And that was kind of a thing I noticed during editing, but it wasn't something I could really fix because then I would need to add additional letters, and the letters wouldn't have the right impact. I just didn't have as much to write about them. So Yeah, it was a little bit of a downside, but I like the structure overall.
No, and we joked about this in our chat. So I read at night, while I'm in bed, and I was going to chapter. I think it's chapter 3 or maybe chapter 4, and it is like I don't put the page number on the bottom. I like to see how much time is left in a chapter because that like tells me, okay, I'm gonna do another 15 minutes, another whatever. This one comes up and it was like 51 minutes or something like that, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do another chapter this long. And he does have scene breaks, so it's not like it's just nonstop.
That's something I never realized because I don't do a lot of Kindle reading. Most of my reading is physical until I joined the Scribes, and now I have to do a lot more. So I never even thought that the chapter length being timed because of the Kindle app would be an issue. But when you brought it up, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. I never thought about that at all.
Yeah, it was just like one of those things where I'm like, oh, nope, not reading anymore tonight. Kindle closed, going to bed.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. So you're writing book 2 now, right?
Yeah. I've got kind of 3 projects up in the air right now. Book 2 of the Odyllic Stone. I've got a secret project, which is a fantasy murder mystery that I think is very high concept, flashy. Might do well in the Twitter space. And then we're doing an anthology for the Secret Scribes. And so I've been working on that. I finished my first draft of that short story. So,
but are you doing the same structure, so letters in between the chapters?
Yeah, the structure is going to be the same. The chapters are just going to be shorter.
So you'll be able to put more letters in there.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
And so one of the things I did in the first book is a lot of the early letters are from Aster, and then I start branching out, and other characters can send letters. And so in book 2, it's going to be a lot of other characters. Actually, small spoiler: Aster doesn't actually send any letters in book 2.
Oh.
For a plot reason. A plot reason you may know at the end of book 1.
Yeah. I mean, no spoiler there. Dewey, question us.
Oh,
real quick, I do gotta say, so yeah, I just finished reading Bloodwoven, and so I'm going to be writing up a review of that shortly, probably tomorrow. Gotta tell Greg.
Greg's book, GJ. Always get that messed up. And it's one word title, even though it's on 2 lines.
This is a one word title.
On 2 lines.
Blood woven. It's not goose woven. Wait, no, I'm
goose blood.
Scathing. It is time for a question. Are you ready? We've been asking you questions, but they've been nothing like these. We're gonna spin it. Tick it. I'm looking. I want the rooster. Okay. Let's see. Number 6 is, here we go. Oh, lamest McGuffin.
You know what a McGuffin is, right?
I do.
And the reason why I chose this is because part of the way through the book, the actual Odyllic Stone is kind of a MacGuffin. But then things change. And I don't know, no spoiler there, but yeah.
That is 100%, and that is also intentional. I really wanted the Odyllic Stone itself to be a MacGuffin for the first half of the book. And then that changes because it's totally not a MacGuffin.
No, it's definitely not. But I know you're not a big movie fan, but, got any answers there?
Well, I'm going to go with Pulp Fiction, the suitcase with nothing in it, with something gold in it that doesn't have any purpose. There's a couple really good ones, but I think that's the most memorable one I can think of.
Yeah, I was going to say that, or the way they butchered it in the Wheel of Time TV show. The Horn of Valerie is a pretty big MacGuffin.
But it's not a MacGuffin in the book.
No, it's not a MacGuffin in the book, but in the show it definitely was, because it just got magicked there, and they had it at the end of the second season. Yeah,
I didn't watch that series because I thought it looked bad.
I could talk for a whole hour on that show, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a lot of lame MacGuffins out there, but it's really odd. brain. If we're sharing, what immediately popped in my head when I read this, this is one of those I copy paste. I didn't read it, Bill. So it's for someone seeing it. Do you all remember the old? It's an old Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren. Do you all remember
of course.
Okay, so the little dwarf that's supposed to be Orko, but he's not Orko, but he's the little dwarf that has the time machine thing.
Yeah,
that's the lame McGuffin. That to me, yeah, they had to go get that, and I don't know why that popped in my head. I thought
I don't know if I'd call that a MacGuffin though, because he actually uses it, and that's how Skeletor gets there eventually.
It's a thing, and it was so stupid. It was so stupid. I was so disappointed. I'm still 30, 40 years later, however long it's been, still burning how they butchered the Masters of the Universe. Oh my gosh.
I mean, okay, yes, but that might be one of the most chewing scenery for
Frank Langella
like, in his whole career.
Okay, all right.
Skeletor, oh my god. He's fantastic.
All right, Alex, I did not mean to take Bill and I down that path.
No problem.
But we can definitely talk movies. Okay, that's you self-published this book. I want to ask you about that part of it, because we're all indie publishers and having to deal with the stuff of publishing. How do you feel about it? Like, was it a challenge for you? Like, did you what?
No, not really. I think Amazon and Ingram Spark are pretty straightforward. I mean, not for double authors like you guys. I didn't have that issue. But no, I thought the process was pretty straightforward. There were some terms I didn't understand, but I could look them up. Yeah, I think the hardest part was actually making sure my book was good and edited and made sense.
Spoiler, it is.
What?
Spoiler, it is a good book.
I was going to say that's what it should be. That's what you should be concerned with. It should be a simpler process of just getting your PDF or Word doc uploaded, and shouldn't be such a hassle. Yeah. But I think doing it in April was kind of kismet, like it's the universe coming together for you as an author to publish, because even a year ago or 2 years ago, it wasn't as streamlined of a process.
Yeah, I know they've made a lot of improvements on all these online tools in the last couple of years. So I'm grateful I didn't try before then, because I've heard it's not been as easy as it is now.
Yeah, there have been big compendiums that you could purchase, and of published now on Amazon, and it's like 3 books wide of how to do it.
And mailing physical manuscripts to people, I cannot imagine.
Oh yeah. Oh, so did you ever do? So did you do that? Did you try to go the traditional route, or had you always planned to be indie?
No. There was a point about maybe a year and a half ago where I'm like, okay, I have to decide if I'm going to self-publish or trad publish. And, looking at the experience of other authors that are trad publishing, okay, you got to find an agent, and then you're not allowed to contact the publishers directly, that you have to go through the agent and they have to talk to the publishing houses. And there's only a couple of them, and they only like these things, and they only accept certain amount of books. And I was just like, this sounds like it's awful. And I kind of like the control over my marketing, over what's in my book, over the cover. Like, I didn't want someone to say, hey, that artwork is not good enough for your cover. We're going to go with something else, because that would not have flown with me. So yeah, I kind of just one day decided I think traditional publishing is not for me.
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
nothing, I mean, we all got to that point, obviously, at some point in the game. But do you think, I mean, obviously you probably think it's the best decision you could have made. Would you go down trad pub route in the future, or do you think you're going to stick with it?
It's not off the table. I mean, if someone comes to me and gives me a great offer, then who am I to say no? I don't think it's going to happen. So I think I'm self-publishing the rest of them, but I don't know. Contact me.
If anybody's out there.
Yeah, I think what you said is so funny. It just echoes. It's the same thing that we've been saying all along. And Bill and I both went the querying route and going to the writing cons and getting the constant, we get little nips and bites here and there. And it's just so takes your whole spirit away from the writing and from the creation, because now you're just trying to please some rando that, that you don't even know.
Well, like writing is so subjective. Like there's a certain part that is objective, making sure you have characters, character arcs, a story, a plot, your writing isn't riddled with typos. But then after that, it's very, very just feels and personal taste. And I did not want to be the whims of the industry with the feels and the personal taste as the wind in their sails. That would just make
again, please don't take this the wrong way, but most of the books that we've been reading, or especially in the scribes, those are not the ones that Trad's looking for. Like, we write a lot of different types of stories in our little group, and I think that's the best part about self-pub is the stories are just cool, and they have cool concepts, and they're going off on their own little paths and doing their own things. It's not that trendy thing that they're trying to strive for. That's what I love about, and like with your book with the structure with the letters, that is cool. Like, you're not going to see that in a lot of trad unless it's going to be like an epistle. I can't even say the word epistolatory. Like what who is that very famous author, the Gothic author?
Dracula, right?
Yeah.
Bram Stoker.
Yeah. Where that was, like written letters. Like,
right.
But that is not a popular thing anymore. So I don't think a trad publisher would be like, oh, hey, this book's about a postmaster, and there's letters in there. Let's pick that up. Which, forget that. Let's get this out in the world and be able to, be able to read it 2 years before time too. That's the thing too, is that the time frame.
Yeah, on the timeline. Oof. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I've been really pleasantly surprised with all the indie sci-fi fantasy I've read so far, from just people on Twitter and Secret Scribes, and I agree. I think going traditional would limit what you can do and how you structure your story and how you do your characters, and I didn't want that either.
Yeah. And like you said, I think this is the important thing too, is the control. Like, when you have, like, obviously we all have editors, or ideally we get people to beta read it and get feedback and all that stuff, but it's like, we can't take everything, because then it becomes their story, not our story. And
or it becomes the Marvel problem of everything feels the same after a while, right? Yeah. Everything is committee designed and sticks with the formula, and it's all bland.
Yeah. So no, that's a cool way to say it. I like that. I know Dewey agrees with me on this one, and
absolutely. And I'm of the nature of, if you tell me you can't do that, I'd be like, oh yeah, no, yeah, I'm gonna do it. That's it. That's why the whole agent thing, like having some little twit somewhere tell me to do something to my book, which
dropped.
Hey, I'm an 8 on the curmudgeon scale right now.
I'm about to go up. 9 or 10.
Accurate.
I'm about to go up. But seriously, having some little person tell me, oh, I don't like what your story doing. Why don't you consider doing this because it meets this trend that I saw going? I'd be like, no, we're out. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do it.
I spent enough time in Fortune 500 company marketing meetings to know how those things go. And They're all full of crap.
Exactly.
They're all full of crap.
Exactly.
Wow. So
question, Dewey. Question time.
Oh! Pull up a question. I thought you were going to ask me a question. Like,
No, I don't want to know about you.
I do have a
already know
question
enough
for
about
Dewey, though. Dewey, what's your favorite type of gummy bear? What's your favorite brand? This is important. There are wrong answers here.
Well, I do like the albances that Bill sent me, but my usual is the
Haribo. That's the right answer.
The Haribo, but I prefer the ones, and this, I don't want this to sound pretentious at all. This is like truly to taste. I prefer the ones from Europe. So because they use cane sugar there. They use like real sugar. They don't use the high fructose, and they just have this much better taste, but they're not as brightly colored as the ones here in the USA.
That is also the correct answer. I was actually born in Basel, Switzerland.
Wow.
So fun fact, and the basilisk is the city monster of Basel, Switzerland, where I was born. And so, yes, I completely agree with you. The European Haribo gummy bears are the correct answer. So you went up 5 stars in my book.
Yeah, and I can down a bag of those pretty quickly. So with that, the basilisk and the cockatrice are often confused.
Yes.
And in fact, often they're thought to be the same thing. That's an interesting connection.
This is addressed in the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's ask you a question. Let's see. Okay. All right. I have no idea what these questions are. Again, I just copy pasted. This is number 7. Oh boy. Let's see. Dragon. You got the dragon. Which secret scribe would be the... Wait. Did I? Oh, I double pasted this one. Sorry. Okay, I'll do it again.
Good job, Dewey.
Hey, I was doing this after a hard days of work. 33. Have you seen The Postman? And do you think it better or worse than Waterworld? God.
Unfortunately, I've seen neither.
Do you know what Waterworld is, though,
I know
right?
what Waterworld is.
The Kevin Costner movie?
Yeah.
So The Postman is actually another Kevin Costner post-apocalyptic movie where he is a postman, and he gets it's very similar to Waterworld. And
did it come
when
after?
you told me that you never see movies, I'm like, oh man.
Did
it come after
Waterworld because at least it's got a good, memorable setting.
Concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Postman's really bad, but my dad loves it for some reason. I don't understand why. He's like, it's such a great movie. I'm like, no, Postman is not a good movie.
Yeah, that was Kevin Costner riding the waves of Dances with Wolves, and which is a legitimately fantastic movie. And then you have Waterworld. I think I stopped watching him after Waterworld because that was just like,
yeah, he didn't do a whole lot of good stuff. And after that,
no. Not really.
Yeah.
I was asking. The Postman came after, right? Waterworld.
Late 90s.
Yeah,
it was like 97, 98 or something like that.
Oh, that was a good.
Waterworld was mid 90s.
Well, yeah. That's sorry. I didn't. I guess I posted the other question twice, but that's your movie question.
Yeah, that was the movie question.
One step closer to the cockatrice question. So
throw it out there. Do it again, Dewey. Do it again. Let's see if we can get something. Because I know Alex is itching to ask me some things.
Yeah, I have a whole list of goose blood questions here.
Okay, number 2, and actually I left number 3 on there, so I'll remove that. There we go. Number 2, the crown. As an engineer, fight to the death using only their inventions. Edison or Tesla? Who would win?
100% Tesla. Because Edison didn't really invent a lot of the things he took credit for. So he was more of a marketing guy than Tesla. Tesla was more of an engineer. Also, he had some really cool stuff like Tesla coils. And yeah, he made some inventions.
And also, he was played by David Bowie.
Definitely a big plus.
Yeah, and many of his inventions, including the death ray. You've heard about his death ray, right?
The death ray is good in concept. I think in practice it takes a little too much energy to be reliable. But you could theoretically kill people with it if
Was that the one that was like they based off of in Atlas Shrugged?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, I don't know, but I do know that when he died, that his apartment was raided by government officials. Some say even the Men in Black came and got all of his schematics and archived them so that they could build the Death Ray to use against our enemies.
So they boxed it up next to the Ark of the Covenant in like that giant warehouse.
Yes. So there's our conspiracy for the night. Of course, I don't know how true that is.
Well, seeing as most of the schematics from just 10 years ago are out of date, I don't think they're very useful anymore.
See, I have a book of. I'll pull it out later. I have a book of all the schematics back here somewhere.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just in case we do have a zombie apocalypse and we need to rebuild the world, we can pull off from my bookshelf and say, "Hey, all right, let's."
You might want a nice pointy stick rather than a death ray, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, because they're already dead.
We'll have.
They're already dead, dude. Zombies are dead.
Yeah, well, but they can't come after you unless they're in 1,000 little pieces, and so you would want to obliterate them. Yep. Just like that. All right.
Can I get a question in here?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, Bill, in a lot of your marketing, you say that Logen is the cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
But my argument here is that Strix is more of a cinnamon roll than Logen is. Now, okay. So, how many times does Strix do something bad in the whole story? All I could remember is him consoling Cadriana, telling her she's not thinking right, and maybe asking for blood a couple of times. But they totally deserved it those times.
Okay. Yeah, you might be onto something that might be revealed in book 2. Not specifically as a cinnamon roll, but no, the Logen is the cinnamon roll. I always had him because you just think of a big old Drake person, like a lizard person, would be bad or like a badass. You always think that. And then I always wanted to make him so unsure of himself and so not badass that when he does become a badass, you're kind of like, well, that's earned. So, but yeah, the cinnamon roll thing, the funny thing is I didn't know what that was years ago. Like my other CP, Sam, she's like, oh, Logen's such a cinnamon roll. I'm like, what does that even mean? I guess you could say he's demure now or whatever the terminology is. He's that type of character. But you're right. The Strix is Strix has some stuff, some interesting bits of knowledge that's gonna come up.
Spoilers.
Spoiler.
Mike, writing books about lizard people. Both Bill and I and Tim have a very similar seeming race of not quite dragons, not quite lizard people. I was talking to Bill earlier in chat about how close Logen and that type of Drake is to my Drakon, which is kind of my dragon person analogy in my story. So we all have something in common there. The Tim Wolf and Bill and I.
Yeah, when I read Tim's book the first time, I'm like, yep, the Zepham and the Draken are the same. And then I didn't even think about it when I was reading yours. And then you're like, yeah, that's how I envision what is Quellest? Is that how you pronounce it?
Quellest.
And I was just like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I remember when I saw that the way you named them, the race, I was like, yep, that's just like mine.
Yeah. Yeah, we use some very similar naming strategies.
Yeah, because we're also original with our stuff, right?
Yeah. Fun fact, do you know what Celeste means? It's French. Celeste is my philosopher character, and Celeste means what is, because he's a philosopher. He's asking what is.
Oh.
So there's a couple fun language things in there. If you know any French or Spanish for some of the names.
So it's spelled. Is it spelled?
It's pretty much spelled almost the same as French.
Okay. Now that you said it, I was like, oh yeah. I thought you were saying Celeste, like the name Celeste.
Oh. Celeste.
Celeste.
With a Q.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I didn't pick up on that because I don't know French. I'm not knowledgeable in that.
Just a lot of little fun things in the book. You don't have to know it. It doesn't matter. I told you he's a philosopher. But
well, we're coming up on the end, so I want to throw up our questions one more time because we have 3 left.
You might as well just finish them out. Alex, can you stay on a couple more minutes?
Then what's the point of the spinner? Here.
Because
what
it's
order
fun.
we're doing them in?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So now we can do them all. So
I choose one of the numbers for one of you.
So we haven't done.
So just 4 and 8.
So pick 4 or 8.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna go 4 because the 4 is the key to something exciting.
Oh. That's a huge question. I don't have Magic the Gathering. Okay.
All right. So I chose 8. For my most useless Magic the Gathering card, there's a card that says 1 mana, discard your own hand, which is really a bad thing in the game because you get rid of all the cards you could potentially play with. And it's only good because there's like some corner case combos with it, but by itself, it's just completely useless.
Oh my gosh. So what does it look like? There's art on these cards, like you were saying, we talked off screen. What's the art for it?
I think it's like an empty hand or a hand dropping something. It's called One with Nothing.
Oh. All right, so here we go. Okay, all right. Where do you stand? Who's this for? Is this for me or Bill?
This could be for all of us.
Okay. Where do you stand on the great dragon debate of 2024? Forget the election. We got this dragon debate.
this was
2 legs or 4.
Twitters. Yeah, it was pretty spicy on Twitter.
Oh, okay. So first of all, explain what it is, because I don't know what the great dragon debate of 2024 is.
Have you ever seen the movie Tangled, the Disney movie?
Yes.
So there's the scene where the main male character is like says something and like all the villains pull out some swords and point the swords at him. So there's like a meme of that, and people do hot takes using that image. And one of them was someone said, I don't care who you are, but dragons should have 2 legs or something like that. Not 4.
Only 2 legs?
It was some famous author too.
Yeah.
I think it might have been George R.R. Martin.
Oh.
Well, no, Martin was. I don't think he was the one that said it.
Oh, okay.
The original one. They used Martin as the
Jeff Brown.
I can't remember. Oh, yeah, Jeff Brown. Because Martin in Game of Thrones has the wyvern, which is 2 legs. So the whole thing was 2 legs or 4 legs for a dragon, and people were just like ready to fight over this damn question.
Okay.
So Dewey.
Well, I mean,
Should a dragon have 2 or 4 legs? It's pretty simple question.
Well, yeah. So I prefer the 4 legs and wings. So that's kind of like what's in the picture here. This little guy, like that.
So like the classical medieval dragon.
No.
The classic medieval dragon, where it's essentially 6 legs because you have the wings. But there are some great standing up, like Tiamat is a dragon that stands on its back legs, and then there's also Pete the dragon, who each dragon has the little hands, and I guess he's got 4. So I don't know. I'm going with 4 and wings. And all these other people are wrong. So whatever y'all.
Oh, careful.
Oh no. Go ahead, Twitter. Go right ahead.
That's why in my book series I have all of the different types of dragons. I didn't want to leave anybody out, because I also have the sea dragons, which kind of look like hydras. I got the Verm, which is in the God's blood, or in Goose blood, the big old sandworms, basically, with no legs. Then I got what's called a blood drake, which is kind of looks like the almost like a Chinese dragon, where they got the front legs and kind of like a long tail, no back legs. And then my lizard person draken, which is anthropomorphic. And then I got the 4 legs and the 2-legged one. So I'm like, I covered all my bases. Nobody can say I don't have.
They're all there.
Exactly.
But 2 or 4.
I prefer, like, if I'm looking at it from a perspective, I like the 2 legs. I like the wings. Like, the ones from Game of Thrones are cool, but the dragons that I think are the best ones in like film are from Reign of Fire, the Christian Bale movie from the early 2000s. It's post-apocalyptic, like where they in England, some construction workers like uncover a dragon burrow, like where he was hidden, and that's where they come out, and they are just really cool looking 2-legged dragons. They walk on their front wings and stuff. They look like bats, like that. So I think that is just the coolest look visually. So
well, controversially, dragons have 4 legs and they have wings, and drakes are the 2-legged ones with the wings. So I don't know why we're even having this debate.
Well, and the cockatrice has 2 legs, and I mean, technically, it could be a type of dragon.
Yeah. I've actually had people say, "I love the dragon chicken on your cover. I love the stuff like that." So, yeah.
I love it. And in our book, in Tana, Orlon has 4 legs and 2 wings, and then no, she has 4 legs, and then the wings are attached. And
shoulder blades, basically.
They're at her shoulder blades, but they're legs. They're not. So, well, okay. So, Twitter hashtag, come at me. Hashtag 4-leg dragons, whatever. Hashtag dragon chicken. I love it.
Yes. Hashtag dragon chicken. So, Alex, do you have any other questions you would like answered, or debates we can go?
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to go all night, let's start some spicy topics. All right, so I really want to get Bill's take on prose, and complex prose to be specific.
Oh, yeah, way to...
Well, okay, so to set this up without with a little extra context, so just reading different scribes' books, there's a real diversity in how complex your prose is. Some people have flowery prose. Some people, like me, I kind of do a more simple prose, like focusing more on the actions than the words themselves on the page. And reading Bill's Gooseblood tragedy, Bill, you have really good mind for this stuff. Like, your prose is phenomenal, but it is very complex. And I'm just curious, like, was that an active choice? Was that something you worked on? And not to sound mean or anything, but I do think that you kind of limit your audience in a way because your prose is so complex. Like, it takes someone with a college education or someone who's really well read to necessarily understand some of these sentences and the topics of some of your paragraphs. So I wanted to bring up prose.
Yeah. So there's multiple things I could say on that. The biggest one is, it was definitely a choice for this world.
Yeah.
You can accuse me of enjoying run-on sentences. In the basic scheme of things, it looks like they're run-on sentences, but I like to, in this world, I wanted it to be what I consider full immersion. And I mentioned this before. There was an author, his name was David Wolverton. He wrote sci-fi under that name, and he wrote fantasy under the name David Farland. He was also a teacher or a professor at BYU, and he was also one of the first teachers of Brandon Sanderson. And what's the lady that wrote Twilight? Stephanie Meyer was there, and a couple, some other more well-known names used to take his classes. Anyway, he passed a few years recently, but he had a newsletter, a monthly newsletter that he would write stuff. And one of the things that he always stressed was attacking the senses, and not just one sense, but all five senses. Right. So when I started getting to the point of my writing being kind of like where I found my voice, like what voice I wanted to with this book, I really wanted to make this book series feel like you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things to do that he would always talk about was, again, attacking the five senses, but bringing them together in a sentence to be able to do it, or like a couple of sentences together, to be able to do that in a limited space.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yes, some people might call some things I write purple prose, which we discussed in the Scribes chat. It's not purple prose.
Yeah, I don't think it's purple.
It's complex prose. It's not purple prose. But the funny thing is that when we talked about it was because I got my first 1-star review within like under a week of publishing, and the person gave a couple of examples, and that's descriptive in my mind of descriptive prose, attacking the senses, because I'm explaining. So Dave was funny because he's like, I didn't know what fulgurating meant, but fulgurating is like a flickering thing that electricity does. So, I wanted to make sure that I was touching the visual, but also flickering. Can't see my hand doing it. Flickering is also a sound thing as well. Mm-hmm. So, like, I wanted to make sure I was touching multiple senses in my sentences. But then again, I like long sentences because it's like that. And I also throw in the one-word sentences because the punchy part of it as well. But to counter that, and I've talked about this with multiple people, is if you read Tana, that is a different style of prose. And I want to be known as an author that can write multiple different ways. Like, Tana is, there's a lot of description in there, but it's more, straightforward, and it's more leveled down to that specific age reader, which is middle grade, which is, 8 to up. So anywhere from 8 and up can be reading that. So that's like one of the things on prose that I always wanted to stress was having each book or series have a specific style for it. And God's Blood like that series, I wanted full immersion. Like I wanted you to be able to feel like you're actually there.
Yeah, well, I think you did a great job at that then, because definitely the senses were engaged. There was a lot of good descriptions of things that were not just what you could see. So if that was your goal, I think you met it.
I appreciate it. It took, as you know, it took a long time to get to that point.
Sure.
And the funny part is like if you would ever read some of these old drafts that I did, like you could see the progression.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because my one CP, Claire, who just posted those pictures this week, like she mentioned that this is the first time she's actually read something without critiquing in mind because it's a finished product now.
Right.
And she's like, man, you got really good at the subtle world building and not like full on exposition paragraph after paragraph. I'm like, well, you kind of pushed me to that. You got me to that point. But yeah, like that's another thing with the prose, and I'm rambling at this point, but like I wanted to make sure that I got the world building in smaller space as opposed to long paragraphs of exposition. And that took a long time to learn how to do.
Yeah.
And to still make it.
But I think you did a good job.
I appreciate that. I know, and again, as you said, I'm going to limit my readership. I went in that knowing that this is not going to be a literary style for everybody.
Yeah.
But it's the one that I wanted for this story.
And it kind of ties back to when we were talking about earlier about self-publishing.
Yeah.
You know, if you went with a traditional publisher, they might not have liked that.
Yeah. And it's funny because like a lot of people, well, not a lot of people because not a lot of people have read it yet, but some people are like, oh, it's like Malazan, and I'm like, and they're like, oh, is Malazan an inspiration for you? And I was like, well, I DNF'd it 3 times, so maybe it was, but like, I guess the style that Erikson uses, even though he apparently doesn't use a lot of description, is very drop you in the middle and just kind of let you figure stuff out. Like that's another thing I wanted to do with the prose is make the reader follow along with the characters. I didn't want to just tell you everything.
Yeah.
So
very cool. All right. It looks like Dave wants us to answer the age-old question of if pegs can beat a cockatrice. Now, I haven't read Tana yet, but I did download it over the weekend. So it's on my extremely long at this point TBR, but
well, I would say that once you do read it, make that choice for yourself. But I know the answer. And we kind of told you a little bit about the history with the whole cockatrice. I love that dragon, animal, mythical creature. I love that creature. I've always have, and so definitely an inspiration for pegs.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, it was interesting when so for what Dewey's alluding to is in past iteration of Tana, the Peg's character was something different, and it could turn into a warbird that was kind of based on a cockatrice.
Yeah.
And the peg leg had to do with losing its claw, essentially. That changed in the draft that's out, but no, I remember Dewey drew some images of the warbird in its like warbird form, and it was just cool as hell. And like I said, and I joke it sounds like I'm joking, but I do wish a lot more books had cockatrices in it because they're just cool.
Yeah.
It's like griffins are now having their moment in the sun. We need to bring cockatrices left and right. That's what we got to do.
I completely agree.
You'll be at the forefront, Alex. You'll be at the forefront of that revolution.
Well, I'm going to say that pegs would probably win. I've heard some chatter and some things about what pegs can pull off, and I don't think the common cockatrice has a chance.
And pegs does have a sword.
And can belch fireballs.
When he has the right diet, yes.
Yeah, he has the right diet.
There we go. Yes, Tim, thank you. Pegs would 100% win. All right. Well, Alex, it's been really wonderful having you on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It was great, and great talk with Bill for the first time, being able to chat with him, not on the Discord, and it's great to meet you, Dewey, and interesting that you're so close here in Texas.
In the great state of Texas.
Right.
The greatest.
How did your you made homemade hot sauce, Dewey? How'd that turn out?
The homemade hot sauce was phenomenal. I had so much of it last night, I had to stop. So it's jalapeno, hatch chili, lime, garlic, and apple cider vinegar. And I made like 24 bottles of it. And it's like tangy. It's not, I would say it's a mild hot sauce. It's not like too spicy. Oh man, it was so good. I could not stop eating it last night.
Because you're in Austin, right? Are you in North Austin?
South Austin.
South Austin. Have you gone to that one place on 6th Street, the hot sauce place?
No, I haven't yet.
They have, it's a whole store of hot sauce, and they have some really good hot sauce.
Like, I can't handle too spicy. My wife is way better at spicy stuff than I am, but like, do they have some like good flavorful ones that
they have, it's like you literally walk in and it's the size of like a bedroom. It's real small, but they have floor to ceiling different types of hot sauce.
Oh,
it's
great.
A cool place. Cool place.
I've got one more thing before you kick me off. So this is one of my secret projects right now. If you can see, this is a leather-bound cover of the Odyllic Stone. This is my new project. I'm trying to work on bookbinding. So this is my
wow.
And so how does that work in 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Basically, I cut the cover off the front, and I get some cardboard, and I glue it here, here, and here, and then I mold leather and glue it on right here, and then I get book fabric, and I glue it here, and then I've got a nice little foil press that I'm going to finish it with.
How'd you get really that? Cool. Or where'd you get that?
I had to buy it. It was a little pricey.
That's cool.
Is that going to be like a special edition kind of thing where people can get that?
I mean, for now, it'll be for me. And we'll see. If I do a good job, which this is turning out pretty nice, maybe I'll send some presents out to some of my favorite.
You should do like on your next April, your 1-year anniversary of the book, like a giveaway. Like a couple of these. You like, and they would have to do stuff like go into the book and find quotes or something like that, or like if they could figure out
my puzzles.
Yeah, some of the puzzles. Yeah, there you go. That'd be a cool little marketing thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I want leather. I like leather book covers.
I think he's trying to tell you something.
Yeah, send me one.
If I can consistently make it work, I'll let you know.
So that's awesome. Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming. Everybody, thank you for joining in the chat. It was a lot of fun. And for everybody out there, go buy The Odyllic Stone by Alex Scheuermann. It is a fun book. I've read it, and I'm not just saying it because he's on here. It is a fun book. There's a lot in there for everybody. All the characters are pretty cool too. So go buy it. Support him. Support other indie authors. And Dewey, got any last words?
I'm just gonna say I'm excited that you were on. I'm gonna get it myself. Boom, get off.
There you go. Get the head moving going. Well, everybody, thank you very much. Alex, thank you again. This was a Schmudgeon and Curmudgeon. We'll see you next time. Thank you.